Hi, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Erica. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. I would love to have you subscribe, like, comment, and if you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. So in today's video, I'm going to be creating a couple different looks with a couple different palettes, or one look for each palette. There's two palettes. I'm creating a look with each of them. Does that make any sense? I got these palettes from another creator on this platform who I consider a very special friend. Her name is Nikki Raven. She sent me a couple of blush tribe palettes. I did use one of those palettes in my last video, and then she also included a couple of palettes that I had no idea I was getting. And she told me, and I forgot to mention this in my last video, that these palettes are not available yet in the United States to purchase. So I feel a little bougie, although I shouldn't be, because Nikki's the bougie one. She just happened to send me the palettes. So I'm just living vicariously through Nikki. But I do have the palettes. Okay, so the first palette that I'm going to be showing you, and this is what's on my eyelids today. This is the Catrice 5 in a box. This is the 060 Vivid Burgundy Look. This is a gorgeous palette, but I'm going to be honest. This is not a true first impression video, okay? Because I did film this. I did do a look with this yesterday. I filmed it. And I don't know, I just was not in the right headspace to be making a video. And I watched the footage and I was like, yeah, no. So this is gonna be a second impression of this palette, but I just think it's gorgeous. Spoiler alert, I really love this palette and it was so much fun to create this look. So I will be using this in my first look. And then the other palette is another Catrice 5 in a box. This is the 050 Blue Smokey Look. And this palette, man, this just gets me. I mean, I love the other palette too, but I love cool tones and I love this palette. This blue shimmer looks gorgeous to me. So I'm so excited. So if you want to see me create looks using both of these palettes and you want to hear me chat for a little while, then please sit back, relax, and let's get started. All right, let's get started with the first look. I'm going to be using the Catrice 5 in a box palette. This is the 060 Vivid Burgundy Look. And like I said in the intro, this is not my first time with this palette. This is like my second take. I don't know, I just wasn't in the right headspace to be filming. That happens sometimes, I'm discovering, and I feel much better today. So I'm going to start off with this shade here. This is this just beautiful, like deep, rich wine shade, and I'm going to put that down towards my outer V and kind of put that into my transition area a little bit. And I figured since my last video or last couple videos, I talked about my dad's surgery, I would give you an update. So he did have his surgery on the 16th, which was last Thursday. And I'm just gonna, like I said, start laying this down on the outer V area and into my transition area as well. And I just wanna start off by saying that the surgery was successful. The surgeon was able to get rid of both fistulas. And also, I'm sure you can already tell, I've done all of my face makeup, my eyelids are primed, and my brows are done. And all of that will be listed in the description box if you're interested to know what's on my face today. So yeah, that was a huge relief. We had a couple kind of scary things happen like immediately after his surgery, and I'll get to that here in a second. But my aunt, who lives about 15 minutes away from the hospital that he was at up in Portland, came down the day before his surgery and got him and took him up there, and he had a CAT scan done because the surgeon wanted to have like a real recent image of his brain. And then the next morning she took him to the hospital at about 5:30. He had to be there at 6. And my dad is a chronic early arriver. Anywhere he goes, he gets there like way earlier than he needs to, which we love to like laugh about that, tease him about it. But we were bummed because my aunt was not able to go in with him. They had like 2 armed guards at the door and very serious. And so, you know, and we kind of thought that would be the case, but we were hoping that just maybe she'd be able to go in, but no, that was a no-go. So he called me at about 20 to 6, and it was great to talk to him. He sounded nervous, but good. You know, I mean, I think there was some relief that it had finally come, you know, the day had finally come for him to have his surgery. So that was nice. And I was glad that, you know, he didn't sound terrified or anything. He just sounded a little nervous, but not bad. So I went to work, and my aunt called me a little after 8. The nurse's station and the surgeon and stuff had both of our phone numbers, but they knew that like my aunt was close by. So they were calling her before they were calling me, which is fine. I mean, I wanted it that way because I was going to be at work. So anyway, she called me a little after 8, and she said that my dad's surgery had just gotten started. And we were told initially that he would be in surgery for about 2.5 hours. And the nurse told her that he would be in surgery until 2 o'clock, which is 6 hours. So we were like, what? But with the CAT scan that he'd had done the day before, the surgeon had noticed that there were two fistulas forming on the left side of his brain, but the surgeon was going into the right side. So he definitely wanted to really scope those out and just kind of, you know, make sure that, just kind of see where those fistulas were at as far as, you know, their development and that sort of thing. So he decided to go ahead and do an angiogram of that area after he was done repairing the fistulas on the right side. So at about, I don't know, 12, I guess, 12:30, my aunt sent me a text that she had heard from the nurse's station again, and that he was doing really well, and that they would wrap things up at about 2:30. Now I'm going to go with this brush into this shade here, this kind of lighter pink dusty shade, and just kind of blend that darker shade out a little bit with that. I just kind of kept checking my phone, and, you know, not as often as I wanted to, but I was checking it, and I didn't have any communication from anybody. And at about 3:30, that was starting to make me a little nervous. So I got done with my day at work at 4:15. And when I went back to check my phone for the final time and just kind of grab my stuff and get out of there, I had a missed phone call from a Portland number, and I had no idea who it was. So I called the number immediately. It was the surgeon's office. And the woman that answered just basically said, you know, hey, I don't know exactly who called you. I'm assuming it was the surgeon. I'm going to put you on hold, and I'm going to go get a hold of somebody on your dad's care team, and I'll be right back with you. And I said, okay, fine. So she puts me on hold. She comes back and she says, I'm not authorized to give you any information. You have to talk to the surgeon. And I'm like, you know, immediately I'm thinking, oh my God, that's really bad news. And so she said, you know, I will have him call you as soon as he's available. He's not available right now. And I said, yes, please do. So I immediately called my aunt, and she just said, first of all, I want you to know your dad's out of surgery, and he did really, really well. The surgeon was able to repair both fistulas, and he's going to be fine. And I said, okay, great. She said, but we did have kind of a scary thing happen. And I said, well, what happened? And she said, well, at 2:30, when nobody called me, I was getting kind of concerned. And so she said at about 3:15, I finally called the nurse's station. And this woman, the nurse, answers the phone. I kind of took a little bit too much of that burgundy shade, wine shade away. So I'm going to go back and just put a little bit of that, more of that down. So she said that the nurse that answers the phone tells my aunt that my dad is out of surgery, that he's in recovery, but that he's paralyzed from the neck down and is on a breathing tube. And my aunt's like, what? And she said, and I have to go because I have something I have to deal with. Goodbye. And hangs up. And my aunt's like, whoa, what? Hey, yeah. So my uncle, who is the guy that you want on your team if something's going wrong in your life, I mean, he's a go-getter, and he is definitely the guy that, you know, will handle things and handle them very well, calls the nurse station back and basically says, listen, I don't know what's going on over there, but we need to talk to somebody who knows exactly what's going on with my brother-in-law, and we want some answers. We don't want to hear that he's paralyzed from the neck down and goodbye. So the nurse that answered that phone call was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That shouldn't have been communicated to you that way. I'm going to put a little bit more of that light pink shade down. He said basically he's been given a paralytic drug because he does have to have his breathing tube in for another, probably 5 to 6 hours. And we don't want him like coming out of that and then ripping the breathing tube out. I mean, of course, you know, yeah, makes perfect sense. So my aunt said, so he's fine, and, you know, everything's the way it should be. Okay, now I'm going to go into this shimmer. Now, in my last look, I noticed that if I used a brush with this, it just didn't adhere very well to the brush or pick up very well on the brush. So it works much better with the finger. So I'm going to use my finger. So anyway, my aunt just said, and, you know, the surgeon is supposed to call me. I said, the surgeon called me and did not leave a message. And she said, well, I wonder why he didn't leave a message. And I said, I know, that's what I'm afraid of. And I think this shade is so gorgeous. I love this palette. I think it's lovely. I really do. And I'm sorry for the kind of a spoiler alert here, because I've used it once before, but hey, it's okay. We're all adults here. We can handle it. So she said, well, you know, maybe he'll call you back soon. And I said, yeah, I hope so. And as soon as basically right after she said that, the other line clicked in and it was the surgeon. So I said, it's the surgeon. I got to go, and got on the phone with him. And he basically just told me that the surgery went really well, that my dad handled it very well. and that, you know, he apologized that he was in surgery for so long, that that's not what he had initially anticipated, but that he really wanted to be thorough. And I said, hey, that's wonderful. We want you to be thorough too. And he basically said, let's see, what else did he say? He said that he didn't think that my dad would have any speech difficulties after the surgery, because the area of the brain that he was in had nothing to do with the speech center, I guess, but that he was a little concerned that my dad might have some mobility issues on the right side of his body. And I said, well, is he going to be going into rehab? Because that was the plan. You know, they were going to put him in rehab. And the doctor basically just said, you know, that's typically what we do with patients his age, and I'm going to start working on that tomorrow. And I said, okay, that's great. And he said, but you won't be able to talk to your dad tonight. I took that up a little high right there. Let me see if I can clean that up a little bit with a brush. So he said, you know, your dad will be, you know, hopefully up and eating breakfast tomorrow morning. So be on the lookout for a call from your dad tomorrow morning. And I said, great. So I called my aunt back, told her what the surgeon had told me, and she felt good about that. And she just kind of asked, you know, what rehab's he going into? And I said, I don't know, but the surgeon's supposed to start working on that tomorrow. And she said, okay, great. I'm sure they'll let me know. So the following morning, Friday, my dad called me, and it was so great to talk to him. He was just like, I think he was still under a little bit of anesthesia because he was kind of goofy acting. I'm going to go into this shade here now, this kind of light pink shade, and put that down towards the front part of my lid. And this is a little flaky, so I'm going to spray this. I almost said shave this. No, spray it. And he was kind of forgetful. Like, he was telling me that he had a tough time remembering where he had put like his phone charger in his suitcase, and that like the nurses were like digging through all of his stuff. It was kind of funny. But, and he said, I honestly have no idea what day of the week it is. And I was like, oh, great, you know, but that's very normal. I mean, he just had brain surgery, for goodness sake. And they basically, what they did was they removed a part of his skull and, you know, went in that way. Where in the past they had gone through like a vein in his groin or artery. I don't know. I'm really technical, aren't I? And I'm going to put that on the other eye. But yeah, it was just great to talk to him, and he had a really good breakfast, and he just was feeling good, and they were going to get him up and take him for like a little walk. And I was like, okay, wonderful. And he really wasn't in a lot of pain. You know, he had a little bit of a headache, and he said it felt weird when he laid back against his head. I have since seen a picture of his incision, and it runs like the whole length of his, like from here all the way to like the base of his skull. And I was not anticipating that. So that was kind of weird, but you know, kind of, I guess, jarring a little bit, but it's okay. So yeah, I worked the day on Friday, and when I got off work, I called him just to check and see how he was doing. And he told me that they were going to release him the following day. And I'm like, Dad, you just had surgery yesterday. I don't think they're going to do that. Well, yeah, they're telling me I'm doing great and they're going to release me. So anyway, I then called the nurse's station just to verify that, because like I said, my dad was a little confused and a little, I guess, dingy is what we would call it, acting. And I love this shimmer. I love this shimmer. I don't remember if I said this yet or not, but this is my favorite shimmer of this palette. I love it. Okay, and now I'm going to just sort of deepen up the outer V a little bit again with this color here, this wine color again. And so anyway, I called the nurse's station, like I said, and nobody answered, and I left them a message, and they never returned that phone call. I just said, like, I want to know what's going on with my dad. And it was, I don't know, probably about 5:30. So I don't know what the hours are for the nurse's station, but I was a little irritated that they never called me back. So the next day is Saturday, and I called my dad in the morning, and he's telling me that they're still, you know, planning on releasing him that day. And I'm like, and he's telling me that his head is sore, and that there's some swelling. And I'm like, Dad, I don't know that they should release you. Plus, I don't know that there's been any arrangements made for your rehab. You know, I hadn't heard anything from anybody. So I called my aunt and I asked her, like, you know, have you heard anything about his rehab? Like, what's the plan? And she said, no, I haven't. And she said, I think what you should do is contact the surgeon's office and see who's on call, and just see if maybe they can kind of help you through this. Because she said, you know, you have a lot of questions. I don't know how to answer them. And I just think, you know, you'd feel better if you talked to somebody that knew what was going on. And I said, good idea. I called, and they put me through to an on-call doctor who really didn't know much about my dad's situation. And I said, you know, I don't think there's anything major going on with him right now. I just am concerned because he's saying they're going to release him already, and I don't think he's ready. And also, is he going to rehab? Like, nobody has gotten in touch with anybody about that. So he basically just told me, like, you know, I want you to take a deep breath and calm down. He's like, you know, your dad is not in an emergency type situation. And if there's any kind of swelling or increase of symptoms, they will not release him. So just, you know, it's going to be okay. And they did not release him that day. Thank goodness. They just released him, what, yesterday, I guess. So anyway, he stayed in the hospital again for a couple more nights, thank goodness. And I finally did get a call from the nurse's station, or the charge nurse called me and basically told me that there really wasn't any room for him at any rehabs nearby, which was very frustrating to hear that, but you know, whatever. And that they didn't really want to have him come all the way home to where we live because it's a couple hours away. And, you know, they just kind of wanted to keep an eye on, you know, whether or not he was going to get an infection or, you know, have any adverse side effects. They weren't really sure. So they decided to go ahead and release him to my aunt's care, which that's fine. I am going to grab my ColourPop Cream Gel Liner, so hang tight. All right, I got my ColourPop Cream Gel Liner. This is in the shade Good Reef. I'm going to put that in my lower waterline. And that not only would they be releasing him to my aunt, but that they would also be having a physical therapist come and work with him every day for 2 weeks. So, you know, he would be staying with my aunt for probably 2 weeks, which, you know, she was fine with that. I'm fine with that. She went and got him like a shower bench for her house and like a little ramp that goes over like the front door, like step, so that he didn't have to worry about that. Cause he's able to walk around, but he does need a walker because he's pretty unsteady on his feet still. So now let's do the lower lash line, shall we? And because I haven't used this shade yet, I'm gonna use that shade and I'm gonna put that under my lower lash line. So yeah, she just said, you know, I realize this is kind of the charge nurse. She said, I realize it's kind of disappointing that he won't be going to rehab, but she said, you know, I really feel like, you know, he is doing really well. She said, you know, he is able to get up and walk around. You know, sure, he's not super steady on his feet, but with the walker, I think he'll be fine. And she said, so, you know, take a deep breath. He'll be okay at your aunt's house. And I said, okay. So, but you know, my aunt's not a nurse and I don't know. I just was, I don't know. I was really nervous. I still am nervous, but he's doing really well. The physical therapist is going to come. No, well, I got this confused. I thought the physical therapist was coming today. The nurse came today and just kind of, I don't know, finalized some of his stuff. And then the physical therapist is coming tomorrow. One of the main reasons why I really wanted him to go to rehab is because, oops, my dad is very stubborn and doesn't like to do what he's told. And I wanted him to be in an environment where he kind of had to do what he was told. I mean, that's kind of how I envisioned rehab. So I don't know. My aunt said that he's being, you know, he's being his stubborn self, but that, you know, she really does think he's going to listen to the physical therapist. We'll see. Now I'm going to go into this wine shade, I guess, wineish shade, burgundy shade, and just put a little bit of that down. There is some powdery kick off, I don't know. And there is a little bit of kick up in the pan, but not tons. The only thing that I was surprised about was that this really does not pick up very well on the brush, but you know what? It worked great with my finger. So now I'm gonna put this just towards the outer part of my lower lash line here, just to kind of match that up with the shade on the upper lid. So yeah, I mean, it'll be fine. I really think it'll be fine. I think my dad knows that this is not a game and that he needs to do what he's told. I don't know. My dad has had a hip replacement and a partial shoulder replacement. My dad, the hip replacement was just because he was, you know, aging and his hip joint wasn't, you know, that just happens sometimes with people. They just need a new hip. But with the shoulder part, about, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago, my dad went out to take the garbage can to the curb. Now I'm going to put just a little bit of this pink shade just right towards the front of my lower lash line. And it was like, I don't know, 4:30 in the morning. And he took the trash can to the curb and turned around to walk back into the house and slipped and fell in the driveway and could not get up and laid there until my mom got up at about 6:37 and went out to get the paper. And here's my dad laying in the driveway. I mean, it was just awful with a broken shoulder, like really broken. It was just, it was horrible. So he had physical therapy for both his hip and his shoulder, and did not do his exercises because he felt like he didn't need to do them, because what does the doctor know? A lot, Dad. The doctor knows a lot. So does the physical therapist. So I don't know. That makes me nervous, but I don't really know what his physical therapy is going to consist of. So I'm just hoping that everything works out well and he does what he's supposed to do. So if you guys could please send my dad some good listening vibes, I'd really appreciate that, because he needs them a lot. Really needs them a lot. So I think what I'm going to do is go off camera, clean this up a little bit, add the finishing touches such as liner, mascara, lipstick, and I'll be right back to show you how it all came together. So please don't go anywhere. All right, this is the finished look. I really like how it turned out, and I wanted to go over a few things that I used in the finished look with you guys. The first thing is the Maybelline Lash Sensational Mascara. I used this today. Now, this I have kind of put in a timeout. It was really like starting to clump up on my lashes really badly, and it just kind of drove me nuts. So I used it a few times, then I gave it a timeout. I pulled it out today just to see maybe it had learned its lesson, and it seems that it has, because it did not clump up at all on my lashes today. So yeah, I think I'll just keep putting this in the rotation and using it. But yeah, for a long time I was like, because it just totally clumped my lashes. But like I said, today it behaved itself. Then I used the Maybelline New York Unstoppable eyeliner in the shade Onyx. This is a nice, just kind of smushy eyeliner that I put on the outer edge of my upper lid, and then on the outer edge of my lower lash line as well. These are really nice to put on and then kind of smoke out with like a brush, but I just basically just put it on and left it alone. And I really like this a lot. It'll last on my lid like the rest of the evening. So yeah, I just think these are really nice, and they perform wonderfully in the waterline as well. And then for my lips, I use the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit in the shade Give Me Mocha. I really like this. It's a little drying feeling, but I mean, what liquid lipstick isn't? But yeah, I just really like this formula, and I thought it was a nice color. It's kind of got the burgundy but brown kind of mixture to it, and yeah, I thought I'd just pull this out and use it today. So the palette, the 5 in a box from Catrice, the 060 Vivid Burgundy Look. I love this palette. I just think it was really fun and easy to use. I love palettes like this where there's just no guesswork. I mean, you know exactly what to do with the shades, and it performed really well. I thought the mattes were nicely pigmented, not like overly so, but I think for like a beginner or somebody that doesn't like super bam pigment, I think this would be a perfect palette for you. This shade here, this shimmer, it was a little unique in that it didn't really adhere to the brush very well, but it worked perfectly fine with my finger, and I love the sheen that it provides on the lid. I think it's gorgeous. And then this light pink shimmer here is beautiful too. I really like that. I put a little bit more of that in my inner corner as well as I was kind of cleaning things up. But yeah, I think this is a lovely palette. Catrice did a great job with this one, and I know there's several others of these. I just have the two that wonderful Nikki Raven sent me, but this is really fun to create this look, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. So if you're interested to see me create a look with the 050 Blue Smokey Look, then just hang out, relax, enjoy yourself, because it's coming right now. Get ready. All right, let's get started with the second look. I'm going to be using the Catrice 5 in a box 050 Blue Smokey Look today. And I think what I'm going to do is start off with this shade here, this medium gray shade, and just kind of put that down like in an arc shape from my inner corner across my transition area into my outer corner. And there's a little bit of kick up in the pan there, but not bad. Sorry, I had to adjust my mirror. And I did want to tell you guys something else while I'm filming today. And that is I have shut off or turned off or discontinued, whatever you want to call it, my Ipsy and my BoxyCharm for a little while. And it's not that I don't love both, because I do, and you guys know how much I love my BoxyCharm. You've seen me freak out over stuff. But I don't know, I was looking at my makeup collection, and it's just kind of this internal debate struggle that I constantly have with myself, because I have a lot of makeup and I want to use it, you know, like, of course you have the makeup, you want to use it, but I don't know. And I realize that having a YouTube channel, you know, people want to see new makeup. And of course I love getting new makeup. I mean, yeah, and I'm always going to get new makeup, but I don't know. I struggle because I don't want to not use what I have. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I guess I'm kind of posing this question to you guys. Like, how do you feel about it? Like, do you enjoy watching videos of people that use like older palettes? Does that totally turn you off? Do you think, I don't want to see that because I have the palette, I've used it 1,000 times, I know what it does and what looks I can create? Or, you know, are you just totally focused on seeing just new makeup and that's it? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I just don't want to waste what I have. You know, it's really important to me to use what I have. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this shade here, this blue, beautiful shimmer. And I'm going to put that down just in the center of my lid. And I don't know how this performs really. I kind of swatched it a little bit and it seemed fine on my finger. But in the other palette, the kind of corresponding shade sort of, I don't know, it didn't really work on the brush. So I'm just going to use my finger. And I'm just going to put that down, ooh, very nice, right in the center of my lid here. Just kind of right in that little empty space that I created with that gray. And that is lovely. I love that. Ooh, wow. And actually, I think I am going to grab, I mean, that looks good, but I think I do want to just make sure that's a little bit more evenly distributed. So I'm going to grab a brush. Let's see here. I think I'll just use one of my little flat packing brushes here, and I'm just going to go into that, and I think I'm going to spray it. Grab that just to make sure it doesn't go everywhere. So yeah, I just am interested to hear what you guys have to say about new makeup versus older makeup. You know, like I love to watch videos where people show new makeup, but I also really love to watch videos where people use older makeup too. I think it's really fun because like sometimes I'll forget that I have a palette, you know, and then somebody will use it and I'm like, oh, I have that. I want to get that out and use it, you know. I don't know. I'm just interested to hear what your guys' take on this is. I really am. And yeah, so please feel free to discuss this at length in the comment section because I would love to hear what you guys have to say about it. I'm kind of doing like a, I don't know, maybe a halo, spotlight, eye, whatever you want to call that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to take my little Luxie brush here, just make sure that's cleaned off. And I'm going to go into this lighter gray shade and just kind of blend out that kind of medium gray shade. And so something else that's been happening, obviously you guys know this, is that Sydney's getting married in a few days. Oh my gosh. And she just picked up her dress and it's all ready to rock and roll. And she said it just looks gorgeous. And she doesn't want anybody to see it until the day of her wedding. So I asked her to take a picture of it. And she said, no, I want you to see it on my wedding day. So I said, okay, that's fine. I mean, I know what it looks like. I bought it for her, but she had some stuff done to it. She had it altered a little bit, had some kind of like ruffly sleeves added to the end of the sleeve that was already on there. I think I already told you guys that. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting. I can't wait. And she's doing really well. I mean, she's stressed. She is stressed out, but at the same time, you know, she's also handling it very well, which makes me very happy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in with this little Beely brush that I used to put that that medium gray shade down. And I'm going to go in this dark gray shade and just add that to the outer and inner corner just to really intensify the blue. But yeah, she's just, you know, getting everything done. I think pretty much everything is done. And I have some wetness in my, do you guys ever get like wetness on the outer part of your lid and like the inner part? God, that drives me crazy. Because then it's like kind of just takes the eyeshadow off and it's kind of a pain in the butt to like fix it. But I don't know if it's just me because I'm old or what, but it's annoying. It's really annoying. But yeah, she is really excited and but she has said to me on a couple occasions, I just want this to be over. I said, yeah, I understand. So I get it completely. Paul and I, when we got married, we had a very little ceremony. It was just us, our kids, and a friend of mine who was an ordained minister. And I think I'm going to go back with that blue shade and just add a little bit more of that because I kind of covered up a little bit too much of that. Yeah, we just had a very small ceremony. I mean, I had Sydney stop and buy a bouquet of roses at the grocery store for our wedding. So yeah, it was pretty quick and pretty easy, which we wanted. We just wanted a really small, just intimate little gathering. And, you know, I am totally fine with her I mean, she's not having a huge wedding. I think there's like 100 people that have RSVP'd. So, I mean, that's, you know, a decent amount of people. Now I'm going to go into this shade here, this white, beautiful white shimmer, and just put that down right in the center of that blue. Make that really pop. Ooh, that's pretty. Yeah, I think that's really pretty. I am going to actually grab that brush again and just put a little bit of that on there and spray the brush. So yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I think it's a relatively, I don't know if that's a large wedding or not. I don't know. I haven't been to a ton of weddings in my life, but you know, it's a lot bigger than what I had. That's for sure. But you know, it's all very close friends and family, and I think it's going to be a wonderful ceremony. And I'm excited to see some people that I haven't seen in a while that are coming. So that'll be nice. But yeah, that's really pretty. I like that a lot. I love these palettes. They're just easy palettes to use. Like I said before with the other palette, they're not, I mean, they're pigmented, but they're not like overly so, you know. Sometimes I don't know. I like both. I like really pigmented palettes, and I like kind of not so much pigmented palettes too. Just to kind of like, you know, I don't know. It's just a different style of makeup application, I guess. But I like both. And I think that's enough of that dark gray shade. Now I am going to clean this off. And I'm going to go into that light or medium gray shade and just kind of go around that area again, just to make sure it's nice and defined, I guess. And I do have a little bit of fallout on my face, but I haven't put any of my face makeup on yet. So I can just clean that up as I go. That's great. And I'm going to go back into this lighter gray shade, this really light gray shade, and put that down again, just kind of blend that out a little bit, just so it's nice and blended and gradient. And I love palettes like that where you can create a gradient. I've said that before. Oh gosh, you guys are like, yeah, we could just put you on repeat, sister. Put you on repeat, baby. All right. So yeah, I'm really excited to like make like I want to make like a photo montage or like a video I don't know what I'm going to do, but I really want to show you guys her wedding because I just think it's going to be wonderful and I want to share it with you guys. Okay, so I think I'm pretty much done with this eye. I am going to go off camera, do the other eye, put on my makeup, my finishing touches, and I'll be right back to show you how it all came together. So please don't go anywhere. Thanks. All right, I'm back and this is the finished look. I really like how this look turned out. It's maybe not my favorite look I've ever done on my channel. I'm really trying to get better at doing like halo or spotlight eyes, and I don't know. The darker inner corner just kind of throws me still. So I don't know. I'm just gonna, you know, wear it for a while and just see if I love it. And if I don't, I'm just gonna wash it off. That's the beauty part of makeup, is that it just does come off. Plus my outer corners are like so watery today. We have some forest fires that are going on around us, and so my eyes are just not loving it. So that's driving me nuts, but okay, I'm gonna finish the video. Okay, so this is the palette I use. This is the 5 in a Box Catrice, the 050 Blue Smokey Look. I used all the shades in this palette and I love them all. The thing that I really like about these palettes is that I think they're perfect for beginners. They're not super overly pigmented, they're just right. And I love that. When you first get started with makeup, this would be a wonderful palette to use. And even though I've been using makeup for what, like pretty religiously for 3 years now, I still really enjoy using palettes like this. The shimmers, this one here and this blue one, were beautiful. I love using those. This was a little flakier than the blue. This did actually go on pretty well with the brush. I was a little nervous because the other palette that I used, that kind of corresponding shimmer, I mean, they're not the same color, but like in the same place in the palette. That one didn't work very well with the brush, but this one was fine. And I thought the mattes were really nice too. I think my favorite matte would probably be this one here, that kind of medium gray shade, but I really enjoyed using this palette. And Nikki Raven, thank you again so much for sending me both of those palettes. Or both of these palettes. I just love them. They're wonderful. And then I also wanted to go over a few other things that I use with my finished look. I do have all of my makeup on. I'm not going to go over all of that. That will be listed in the description box. So if you want to know the other stuff I have on my face, please go check that out. But what I used in my lower waterline is the ColourPop Cream Gel Liner in the shade Prance. I just thought the blue would look nice with the eye look, and I love these. You all know that. And for my lips, I used a combination of the Revlon Super Lustrous Lipstick in the shade let's see, 657 Fuchsia Fusion. And when I first put this on, I thought it looked nice, but it almost was too like bright, I thought maybe with the eye look. So I covered that up a little bit with this Adeste New York. This is a liquid lipstick, although it's more of a gloss consistency. I don't know why it says liquid lipstick, because it doesn't dry down. It's very glossy like. And I just thought this would kind of neutralize that. It's always hard for me to choose a lip color with the blue eye look. I never know what to do exactly, but this is what I went with. And then for my mascara, I use my little tube. This is Almost Gone fan of the Benefit Roller Lash. This is one of my all-time favorite mascaras, and I just figured I'd use it since it was sitting there. So anyway, I hope you guys really enjoyed watching both of these looks come together. I really had a blast playing with these palettes, and I really would like to get more of those Catrice 5 in a box. They're just spectacular, I think. And again, I want to say a huge heartfelt thank you to Nikki Raven for sending me those palettes. I just adore you so much. And like I also said at the very beginning, these are not available for purchase yet in the United States. I don't know when they will be. I have not looked at a Catrice website for a long time, so I probably should have had some more research and preparation for this video, but I didn't. So I have a lot going on right now. But anyway, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your busy day or evening to sit down and watch my video. It always means the world to me. If you have subscribed or you would like to subscribe, do not forget to hit the notification bell. That way you're aware of all of my future uploads. I cannot wait to see you guys again in my next video. But in the meantime, please take care of yourself. Be well, safe, happy, and I'll see you again soon. Take care, you guys. Thanks again. Bye.